¿Qué pasa? Espero que lo estás haciendo bien. What's up? I hope you're doing well. We're down to the next lesson, which is present tense of some common irregular verbs. Last topic, we discussed about subject pronouns and present tense of regular verbs. So from the easy regular verb to the quite complex irregular verbs. Which means that, like in English, we have to familiarize and perhaps memorize these irregular verbs. Vamos a empezar. Let's get started. Not all verbs follow the same pattern as those explained in Unit 3, and unfortunately, there is no shortcut. You simply have to learn this as you come across them. Many of these verbs are in common use, so you will soon become familiar with them. Here are some examples of common irregular verbs. They are set out in the 6 persons explained in Unit 3. So as you can see, I already put the origin at the left side of the screen. So if you will refer to this table, just remember that the first verb refers to the first person, followed by the second person, third person, singular, and then first person again, second person, third person in plural form. So let's look at this verb. First, the verb ir, which means to go in English. So for its first person, we have voy, second person vas, third person va. For all of those are in singular form. But when it comes to plural form, we have vamos for first person, vais for second person, and last van for third person plural. You can just read the following verbs here. We have the different forms for tener, which means to have, ser, which means to be, and estar, which also means to be. However, ser and estar are quite different forms of verb, because when we talk about the verb ser, it means it pertains to permanent kinds of being. Remember, ser is permanent, while the verb estar means something temporary, like being here or location, characteristics. Yeah, so that's for the verb estar. However, we will have a more detailed discussion about the verb ser and estar in the following lessons. Okay. The following verbs are only irregular in the first person singular, and after that they follow the same pattern as regular verbs. So like this one, it says here that these verbs only becomes irregular in the first person singular, but on the other pattern, it follows the regular verbs, like the verb dar, which means to give, doy, das, da, damos, etc. And hacer, which means to make or to do. We have hago, haces, hace, hace, perhaps. And we have poner, to put, pongo, pones, pone. Saber, which means to know, se, sabes, sabe. And conocer, to know, conozco, conoces, conoce. Well, if you notice that most of the first person singular verb in Spanish always ends in o, except for the verbs dar, which means to give, and the verb saber, which means to know. But almost all of this ends with letter o, which can be connected with the first person singular with regular verbs, because they always end in the letter O. Other verbs ending in ser and sir, follow the same pattern as conocer in the first person singular. Like parecer, to seem, which is for first person singular, parezgo. Conducir, which means to drive, conduzco. traducir, to translate, or in the first person singular, traduzco. Producir, to produce, produzco. This is not an exhaustive list of irregular verbs, but they are some of the most common ones that you will want to use from the beginning of your study of Spanish. Other irregular verbs will be pointed out as they occur. So our next subtopic will be So here's the instruction. Is it ser or estar? Put in the correct form of the verb. So you may look for your lecture so that you can have a clue of what to answer in this short activity. First item. Barcelona, Blanco, and la Costa Mediterránea. The question is, Barcelona, Blanco, and la Costa Mediterránea. What do you think should be in the blank? If you know the answer, you may continue watching. If you're still thinking, you may pause the video. So if you are ready, let's find the answer. So the correct answer is Barcelona está en la costa mediterránea. The correct answer is está. Second item. Londres, Blanco, la capital del Reino Unido. I'll repeat. Londres, Blanco, la capital del Reino Unido. What do you think should be written on the blank? Londres, Blanco, la capital del Reino Unido. If you know the answer, you may continue watching. If you don't know, then pause the video. The correct answer is Londres es la capital del Reino Unido. The correct answer is es. Let's move on to the next item. Lola y yo, Blanco hermanas. What do you think should be the answer? Lola y yo, Blanco hermanas. If you do not know the answer, you may pause the video. So let's find out. The correct answer is Lola y yo somos hermanas. The correct answer is somos. Next item. Pepe y tú, Blanco en Madrid. Pepe y tú, Blanco en Madrid. The correct answer here is Pepe y tú estáis en Madrid. The correct answer is estáis. Did you get the correct answer? Okay, so let's move on to the next item. Ustedes blanco ingenieros, ¿no? I'll repeat. Ustedes blanco ingenieros, ¿no? If you know the answer, continue watching. If you're quite unsure, you may pause the video. Let's find out the answer. Ustedes son ingenieros, ¿no? So the correct answer is son. About the ser and estar. A while ago, I discussed briefly the meaning of ser and estar, or I mean the difference between these to be verbs. So here we will have a short discussion about these kinds of verb. So these two verbs meaning to be have quite distinct uses in Spanish, some of which are obvious and some of which are less so to the non-native speaker like us. They will be dealt with in greater depth in a later unit, but for the moment, we will look at some of the most basic differences between them that you will need to be aware of from an early stage. So here's an example or a sample sentence. Because ser or ser is used to express permanent characteristics of a person or object. So remember, the verb ser is permanent. Like, Maria es guapa. Maria is pretty. So it's permanent because no matter the day is, Maria is always pretty. Maria es guapa. Soy español. I am Spanish. So this is one is permanent because our nationality is permanent, or perhaps the nation of origin is permanent. La casa es grande. The house is big. So that's another example. Here are the different forms of the verb ser. So in first person, we have soy. Second person, eres. Third person, es. For plural form, first person, somos. For second person, plural, sois. Third person, plural, son. After discussing the verb ser, we have the verb estar, which is used to express temporary states. Remember, estar, temporary, ser, permanent. Like this one. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? No estoy contento. I am not pleased. So here in the conversation, the one who answered said that he is not pleased. Although he is not pleased at the moment, it is not a guarantee that he will not be always pleased all the time or all of his life. So this one is not a permanent state but a temporary one, because our mood changes over time. So that's it. That's the verb estar. Estar is also used for positions and locations, whether they are temporary or permanent. So remember that for the verb estar, for positions and locations, they are for whether they are temporary or permanent, we use the verb estar, like this one. Madrid está en España. Madrid is in Spain. Está. So although this one is a permanent state because Madrid is always in Spain, it says here as a rule that the verb estar is used for locations, whether it's temporary or not. Madrid está en España. Another is los libros están en la mesa. The books are on the table. So this one talks about positions. Another is mi madre está en la cocina. My mother is in the kitchen. Another for position. So that's it for the verb estar. So remember, for estar we have temporary states as well as positions and locations, whether temporary or permanent. Here are the different forms of the verb estar. For first person singular, we have estoy. Second person, estas. Third person, está. For plural, for first person, estamos. Second person, plural, estáis. Third person, plural, están. So we will have a fuller explanation of the differences between ser and estar on Unit 8. So don't worry if you feel like you do not know a lot yet about the verbs ser and estar, because it takes quite some time. Okay, so a while ago we talked about the verb ser and estar. Now we will talk about the saber and conocer. So the verb saber means to know, in the sense of to know a fact. ¿Sabes su nombre? Do you know his name? Sabes. No sé la respuesta. I don't know the answer. So in the second sentence, where do you think is the verb saber? It's in the verb sé. No sé la respuesta. Sé. So that's the another verb form of saber. Sé. It also means to know how to. To know how to. Okay, so saber means also means to know how to. Like, ¿sabes tocar el piano? Do you know how to play the piano? Another example is, no sabemos nadar. We can't swim. On the other hand, the verb conocer means to know, in the sense of to be acquainted with or to be familiar with. A while ago, we talked about the verb saber, which means to know or to know a fact. So it's all about the fact. While in the verb conocer, it also means to know, but in the sense that to be acquainted or familiarize. Saber means to know a fact, while conocer means to familiarize or to be acquainted. Remember the differences. Saber, conocer. To know a fact, to be acquainted or familiarize with. Here's an example. ¿Conoces Madrid? Do you know Madrid? Conozco las obras de Cervantes. I know the works of Cervantes. So that's an example. So it's all about familiarizing, being acquainted. That is for conocer. So we're done we're done with the lesson. Let's have a short activity or what we call ejercicios. So here's the instruction. Is it ser or estar? Put in the correct form of the verb. So you may look for your lecture so that you can have a clue of what to answer in this short activity. First item. Barcelona Blanco en la costa mediterránea. The question is, Barcelona Blanco en la costa mediterránea. What do you think should be in the blank? If you know the answer, you may continue watching. If you're still thinking, you may pause the video. So if you are ready, let's find the answer. So the correct answer is Barcelona está en la costa mediterránea. The correct answer is está. Second item. Londres Blanco, la capital del Reino Unido. I'll repeat. Londres Blanco, la capital del Reino Unido. What do you think should be written on the blank? Londres Blanco, la capital del Reino Unido. If you know the answer, you may continue watching. If you don't know, then pause the video. The correct answer is Londres es la capital del Reino Unido. The correct answer is es. Let's move on to the next item. Lola y yo, blanco hermanas. What do you think should be the answer? Lola y yo, blanco hermanas. If you do not know the answer, you may pause the video. So let's find out. The correct answer is Lola y yo somos hermanas. The correct answer is somos. Next item. Pepe y tú, blanco en Madrid. Pepe y tú, blanco en Madrid. The correct answer here is Pepe y tú estáis en Madrid. The correct answer is estáis. Did you get the correct answer? Okay, so let's move on to the next item. Ustedes blanco ingenieros, ¿no? I'll repeat. Ustedes blanco ingenieros, ¿no? If you know the answer, continue watching. If you're quite unsure, you may pause the video. Let's find out the answer. Ustedes son ingenieros, ¿no? So the correct answer is son. Here's the second activity. Complete the following descriptions with the appropriate form of tener, ser, or estar. So get again your lectures to have an idea of what to answer here. Okay, so let's practice. This is in paragraph form, so this one is connected by sentences. Let me read to you this activity. Yeah. So, este chico de la fotografía blanco, mi hermano Mario. Mi hermano blanco casado con Elena. Mario y Elena Blanco, una hija Rocio. Mario Blanco, economista, y Elena Blanco, profesora. Rocio Blanco, 10 años y Blanco, una niña muy simpática. Rocio Blanco, muchas amigas en el colegio. Mario y Elena viven en Madrid, pero Blanco una casa en Lampoya para el verano. Lampoya, Blanco en Tarragona. Let me repeat. Este chico de la fotografía Blanco, mi hermano Mario. So it says here, because the gist of this paragraph is that the speaker is pertaining to a photograph. He said that the picture there is his brother Mario, and Mario is married to Elena, and they have 2 children, and they live in Madrid, but they have a house in Lampoya. So that's the gist of the sentences. So let us read again. You may read with me if you want. Este chico de la fotografía Blanco, mi hermano Mario. Mi hermano Blanco casado con Elena. Mario y Elena Blanco una hija, Rocio. Mario Blanco economista y Elena Blanco profesora. Rocio Blanco 10 años y Blanco una niña muy simpática. So the daughter of Mario and Elena were mentioned too, and her name is Rocio, and she was described, or she was described as someone who is very nice, and she's 10 years old. Rocio Blanco muchas amigas en el colegio. Mario y Elena viven en Madrid, pero Blanco una casa en Lampoya para el verano. Lampoya, Blanco en Tarragona. So, are you ready to know the answer? If you're not, then pause the video first so that you will have the time to answer this. So if you're finished answering, let's continue with the key to correction. Let's know the answers for this activity. Este chico de la fotografía es mi hermano Mario. Es. Mi hermano está casado con Elena. Está. Mario y Elena tienen una hija, Rocio. Tienen. Mario es economista y Elena es profesora. Rocio tiene 10 años y es una niña muy simpática. Tiene y es. Rocio tiene muchas amigas en el colegio. Mario y Elena viven en Madrid, pero tienen una casa en Lampoya para el verano. Lampoya está en Tarragona. So those are the answer for this activity. So when you try to understand the answer, why is the answer like that, then perhaps comprehend the sentences to know whether the verb pertains to a temporary state of being or something that is permanent. So that's the key in understanding the answers here. So that's the end of our discussion for today. I hope you learned something, and if you're quite unsure or you're confused with the discussion, just PM me and I will try my best to answer your queries. So that's all for today, and gracias.